Taiwan is on edge as China appears to be expanding its presence in the South China Sea. China may be building a new radar shield in the South China Sea, raising concerns in Taiwan. A new Chinese installation is emerging in the South China Sea as questions grow over Beijing's plans. China's latest South China Sea buildup could have implications for Taiwan and its U.S. ally. New Chinese installations have reportedly emerged on an islet near Antelope Reef, according to Reuters. Satellite imagery reportedly suggests China may be building its largest base yet in the South China Sea. A three-pronged construction has appeared on Yagong Island near the Antelope Reef development site, according to reports. Analysts say the new construction on Yagong Island could eventually become an early warning radar facility. Yagong Island is located about 14 kilometers northeast of the construction site at Antelope Reef. Beijing claims most of the South China Sea, but several neighboring countries dispute those claims. China has expanded fortifications and artificial islands across the region as it strengthens its military posture. The latest buildup is raising questions about China's broader military plans and how it could affect a potential Taiwan crisis. Chinese researchers proposed AI-powered robotic fortresses to defend South China Sea outposts with a network of autonomous systems. The concept would link aerial, surface and underwater drones into 3 defensive rings to detect and counter threats. Researchers said the network could keep fighting even if communications links and some platforms were damaged during an attack. The proposal was published in July by researchers from China's Coast Guard Academy and Dalian University. The concept is not a confirmed Chinese military program and does not prove autonomous defenses are already deployed. The outer ring would use drones and uncrewed vessels to detect and engage threats before they reach the outpost. The middle ring would use electronic warfare to disrupt hostile UAV sensors, communications, and command links. The inner ring would deploy drones and underwater systems against threats that penetrate the outer defensive layers. The architecture could make Chinese island bases harder to suppress during a major conflict by creating multiple defensive layers. Chinese sea trials in 2026 have already tested drone swarms, uncrewed vessels and underwater systems in coordinated operations. The concept reflects China's broader push to combine artificial intelligence, autonomy, and multi-domain warfare. However, sustaining such networks during prolonged war could strain power supplies, maintenance crews, weapon stocks and replacement systems. For US and allied forces, such networks could complicate attempts to suppress Chinese outposts during a major conflict. China has transformed Antelope Reef into a 1,500-acre artificial island in just 10 months, rapidly expanding its footprint in the disputed South China Sea. New satellite imagery showed a deep water port and major runway construction, highlighting the scale of China's rapid reclamation project, according to the war zone. The first phase of the Rapid Land Reclamation project is now complete, marking a major expansion of China's presence at the reef, Reuters reported. The island was built after Chinese dredgers moved more than 1 million tons of seabed sand to create new land around the previously submerged reef. The 3.7-mile-long outpost now features extensive seawalls, roads, and multiple active construction zones across the newly created artificial island. Vantor imagery showed a possible 10,000-foot runway and space for large aircraft hangars, potentially allowing the site to support major air operations. A 2,200-foot quay could allow military and civilian ships to dock inside the lagoon, giving China a potential new logistics hub in the region. Antelope Reef is part of the disputed Paracel Islands, which China has controlled since 1974 despite competing territorial claims in the region. An expanded base could boost China's radar coverage, air power, and surveillance reach across the South China Sea, strengthening its regional military presence. Experts said the site's biggest benefit could be its intelligence and surveillance capabilities, allowing China to monitor a wider area of the disputed waters. USS George Washington entered the Middle East, preserving U.S. carrier power against Iran as Washington maintained a major naval presence in the region. CENTCOM said the carrier arrived on August 19, replacing USS Abraham Lincoln after the carrier completed an extended deployment in the Middle East. Lincoln ended a 9-month deployment that involved intense combat operations, maritime missions, and sustained support for U.S. forces in the region. The carrier flew more than 10,000 sorties during its deployment and used about 1.5 million pounds of ordnance in combat operations. Lincoln's prolonged deployment also exposed growing crew fatigue and logistical strains as disrupted supply routes complicated sustained operations. USS George Washington now maintains U.S. strike and air defense capabilities across the Arabian Sea, keeping carrier-based power close to Iran. However, experts warn that moving the Washington from Yokosuka reduces the visible concentration of U.S. carrier power near China and Taiwan. The rotation highlighted Washington's wider force dilemma as the U.S. military manages simultaneous strategic pressure from Iran and China. For now, the U.S. retains submarines, bombers and land-based aircraft across the Indo-Pacific despite the carrier's temporary shift toward the Middle East. However, the handover sustains military pressure on Iran, while also highlighting the growing strain on U.S. naval forces across multiple theaters.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.